Hey Artnerds, today we're going to do something fun. We're going to do a little alcohol marker illustration using a common household doily. You can pick up doilies just about anywhere, Dollar Tree, Walmart, Target, any place like that. I'll have a link in the description below where you can get one as well. And this one was actually sent to me by my friend Kabocha along with a pack of other goodies to try. You're also going to need a red colored lead pencil. I'm using a Muji pencil here filled with Pentel colored lead, as well as your Copic markers. So I begin by sketching out my illustration straight onto my doily using my red lead. You can use a doily of any size. It does not specifically have to be a teeny tiny one like this, although teeny tiny ones are pretty cute. And you want to be very delicate because doily material, doily paper is very thin, very fine. You don't want the lead to cut through the paper. You can also, if you have a Cricut, print your own, or I should say cut your own doily designs. And I have a tutorial written by Kabocha over on my blog where she kind of talks about doing those sort of things. So I'll link that in the description as well. So now that we've finished our illustration, we can begin using Copics. Now I don't know exactly which colors I used for this piece. I kind of went along with some of my favorites and worked as I went along. So I recommend using your own favorite Copic colors for this. I did use a very, very light blue to kind of give the implication of a sky behind Kara. And if you guys are not familiar with this character, this is my Lilliputian character, Kara, the main character from my webcomic 7-Inch Kara, which you guys can read at 7inchkara.com or 7inchkara.tumblr.com. The first volume is also in print. You can fill out a request form so that your local library carries it, and that would be a huge help for me, and it would not cost you a single dime. Or you can order it from the Natto Shop and get a cute free wooden charm by clicking the link in the description below. So I use these very light blues to create kind of a background behind Kara. Very, very simple, basic background. We start with the lightest blue, then we go in with darker blues and blend it out. I also use that blue for the shading on her eyes. Now I'm using a very light E51 to apply shading to her skin. Now if you're having trouble selecting skin tones, I have a tutorial here on this channel that will help you do just that. You guys will be able to find it in the cards or by clicking in the description below. I also applied E93 Tea Rose, which is one of my favorite colors for doing lighter blushes on lighter skin tones. And now I'm adding in another darker layer using E21. Anyway, if you check out my skin tone tutorial, I will show you how to do a variety of different skin tones, not just very pale skin tones. So I hope you guys will check that out. So I used RO2, I believe, Flesh Tint to do the blush on her cheeks. And I used a very, very light yellow to start her little strapless dress. Now I'm using E13 to add further shadow to her skin and to sketch in her freckles. And I'm using a slightly darker yellow, YR21 is kind of a buttery yellow, to kind of reinforce the yellow of her shirt. And I'm using E17 to color in her freckles and to color her hair and start her eyes. And I do apologize for the focus issues. This is such a tiny thing and my camera is so close to the piece it's having a little bit of trouble deciding which object it wants to focus on. And I'm using the brush tip of my Copic to do most of the work so that I can leave a really nice white specular highlight. And doing the piece on a doily creates this really cute lacy border, so this could be a fun way for cute or kawaii art. You could also use doilies in your stamping or in your card making just to add kind of an elegant accent to it. And Kabocha has a tutorial over on the blog where she shows you how to use doilies like this for masking purposes as well. Now I'm using a much darker brown E59 to start adding in some shadows to the hair and eyes. And going in with E79 to add some of my darkest shadows so that way we have lots of contrast. Now I'm using R39 to fill in her mouth. And I wanted to add some color to the white border, so I'm using kind of a variety of Copics and blending them back out again just to add a hint of color to the background. You don't have to do this, but I thought it would be fun to experiment. And since the doily paper takes Copic markers fairly well, I just kind of wanted to keep playing around with it. So once I finished playing around with the background, I decided I wanted to ink certain areas of this piece, primarily around her face and her eyelashes. Even though we used a colored lead, which is really useful for doing lineless sort of watercolor or lineless alcohol marker, I do like going back over and inking on occasion. And I am using a Sakura Pigma FB brush pen. It is alcohol marker proof. I could have inked my piece first, but by waiting till the end to ink, I can actually use less ink, which gives kind of a more delicate sort of appearance, which is really perfect if you're inking on a doily. And once I finished inking, I used a white uni Signo gel pen just to add some white highlights. It's kind of my preference when it comes to adding small, delicate white highlights. And I find that the uni white Signo is far less likely to clog. Now you guys can find links in the description below for all the products mentioned in this tutorial. I hope you guys found this inspiring, useful, helpful, and informative. And I hope you guys will consider subscribing if you haven't done so yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye guys!